Hey guys, so for the last 2 days or so, I was rewatching the entire series of Lock and Key, and it is a if you haven't seen it on Netflix, I seriously recommend watching it. It is really good. It's based on the comic, which I think came out really not too long before the show came out. Um, it's also cool because some of the keys that were shown in the show were added into the comic book. The matchstick key is one of them. It's a really cool key. Obviously it's a key and it's got like a little flame on the end of it, like in the shape of a flame. And you just take the key and you just touch it to anything and just fire. Sam Lesser used it to get out of prison. He first used it on the door so he could get the door open, and then he just set the whole thing on fire. He just walked down the hallways with it against the wall and just set fire to everything. You can also into yourself and kablooey. So it's really cool. There's also the splody key, which explodes. Um, in the comic, apparently Bodhi uses it and accidentally blows up part of his house. Um, but I had the ending for the show. It's so perfect. It really is. It's so simple. Um, but so the ending. Spoiler alert for people who haven't seen it. If you have no plans on watching it, whatever. Warned. If you haven't watched it, well, you might want to turn this off. Go watch it and then come back. So Frederick Gideon is the villain of this season. He's like this Revolutionary War captain, and he was possessed by one of the demons from the Black Door, and he's so powerful that Dodge refers to him. Basically, she's like, yeah, he's like basically a god in my world. That even his strength, he's amongst the strongest of my kind. So when Dodge is saying that he's basically a god, this dude is strong. The chain key, which is really cool, it's got like this lock type thing, and you put it in, and shoots out this chain. It just wraps around. When they wrapped around Dodge, she couldn't get it. As powerful of a demon as she is, she couldn't do it. She couldn't break the chains. This guy just like poof, he just breaks the chains and gets back up. This dude was insanely powerful. And the only way of defeating him was using the Alpha Key, which, when you jam it into someone with a demon, that demon is destroyed. The person who uses it, or the person who's possessed by the demon, also dies. But this guy was, you know, hung to death, in like 1700s, and so he was already dead anyway. So but that was really the only way. But he uses a few of the keys, like however many of them. He just kind of realizes that holding them together and just squeezing opens up a portal to his world, and that's what he was trying to do throughout the season, was open up a portal to his world, and he finally does in the Locke's house. And in the end, after they throw him into the portal, he dies. It's basically an eye for an eye, so all the keys that he used to open the portal then have to be thrown into the portal in order to close it back up. Um, they use the memory key on themselves again, which you can't. When in the universe for them, when you become 18, you forget about magic. So 17 years old, you can see all these cool keys and the magic they do. But then once you're 18 and or rather get closer to your 18th birthday, you slowly start to forget about the magic. But you can remember it either by somehow being intoxicated, because it gives you, I guess, more of a childish mentality, or using the memory key. And then you're able to remember. Um, they had to do that with Nina, who's the mother, Duncan, who is the uncle. Um, but at the end, they kind of, I guess, take away to where they'll forget about it because they're just tired of the keys. Um, but then they show like this nice little outside shot they're all going into the house, and Nina turns around and closes the door. She's smiling. There's happy music playing. They zoom in on the door. You see the doorknobs with KH, key house. Happy music, and then the music stops, and then you hear whispering. The whispering is throughout the series. Whenever there was a key nearby, or just not even nearby, well, in the house, they would hear whispering. So they'd go through the house trying to, following this whisper. And as soon as you pick that key up, it stops whispering. And it's not whispering anything in particular. It's not like, find me, find me. It's just gibberish. It's just whispering. But the music stops and you hear whispers. I can't remember if it was Ellie or Aaron that they asked, but they asked, are there more keys out there? And they're like, I don't know, possibly. And there are. There's a lot of freaking keys. So, this is the list of the keys. Some of them are really cool. The Hercules key gives you the strength of Hercules. The key to hell basically makes you the devil. Gives you control over hell. You got the chain key right there. The creation key is really cool. You can draw it. You use it on any surface. You can draw something and it comes to life. When Tyler and Kinsey were being chased by Gideon, they ran into like this little back way of this restaurant, and they were trapped. So Tyler used the key, drew a door for them, went through, and then he drew like a deadbolt kind of thing on the door. Obviously, it's not going to stop Gideon. He's a freaking demon. I'm a freaking demon. Um, but then they're outside, they're running from him, and then Kinsey gets this idea of drawing a freaking motorcycle. So she draws it. You see this motorcycle rise up out of the ground. It's such a cool. So basically, whatever your imagination is, you can bring it to life. There's the Harlequin chest, which is complete magic. It's pure magic. Like this thing, they set the thing on fire, and like this magic rain cloud just came and just put out the fire. And then Kinsey kind of had this idea of, well, maybe the only way to get into this magic box is with magic. So she takes the creation key and draws a little, panel in there to get in. So she opens it up and she's able to get inside the chest to get the keys they needed. Because previously they couldn't get in there. So it's like, well, what if I draw a little latch there? I can reach in. And it works because the only thing that can get past magic is other magic. The mirror key, which is pretty creepy. The mending key, which is really cool. It's like this cabinet. You break something, you just put it in there, close it, lock it, open back up, and put back together. Now the key house key right here. So apparently it was made in the comic by Tyler, and it made an entire new house. In the show, they combined the gender key, the identity key, the skin key, because it's really all just one thing. So the identity key, self-explanatory. The gender key, also self-explanatory. If you're using it as a male, it turns you into a woman. Skin key, you can choose to be a different race. But why have 3 keys like that? So the show combined them all into one. It just became the identity key. But you can't turn yourself into anyone who's known. You can only kind of create your own person. It's really cool still. The time shift key, which allows you to kind of like go back in time, but the thing, it's in this father uh, the clock and all that. Got like the Roman numerals, and set how far you want to go back, and I think how much time. And then there's an hourglass, which is basically like a failsafe. So if something happens and something from there somehow manages to make its way back into that present time. Once that sand runs out, it's just sent back. So um, it's a failsafe in case something evil comes through, because it can only be in there for the amount of time of for the running sand. So once that sand runs out, that whatever came in through the from the past gets sent back to the past. Um, if you go into the past and you talk to like your ancestors or your grandparents or your father or whatever, you go back, they're not going to remember. It's not going to be like, oh, don't you remember seeing me? No, the time shift key doesn't work like that. It's not like a Back to the Future thing or no. Once you're gone, they completely forget about you. Um, but yeah, so like I said, it was an eye for an eye kind of thing. So he used a certain amount of keys to open the portal. Those keys that he used had to be thrown back in. Unfortunately, there were some of the cooler ones, like the Hercules key, the head key, the Harlan key, the creation key, the demon key, which makes the demon key was cool. That's what Gabe and Eden were trying to make, and it's I'm guessing what it really was basically a fast track from Gabe's, or basically the demon world to ours, because you stick them with it and they get possessed by the same kind of demon. So it's almost like a fast track, so that way you didn't have to go all the way to the black door. You could just stick someone with this key. It's like a fast track for any demon. I'm guessing it's just like a random demon that comes through. But yeah, it was. Yeah, they threw it in, but the whispering kind of means there is more, because they're not all in the house. They found a key in the school, and so there's keys all over the place. Um, so we know that the show's not coming back. I mean, as far as we know, season 3 was it. But I would still love to see maybe, you know, years in the future where maybe it's their, kids or whatever, their grandkids. Maybe they're still in Matheson and they start finding keys again. Um, because the black door is still there. The black door is still there. Um, I mean, it can't be opened without the Omega key, but there's still probably some whispering iron there, which is what you have to. So, it's in order to make a key, you need pretty like 3 key components. Get what I said? Did there? Key components? Yeah. Oh, John, you slay me. So you need whispering iron, which is the material that shoots out from the Omega door. They're really kind of like demons, but if they don't hit you, they just become like this ore. It's whispering ore because it, well, whispers. So you need the whispering ore. You need the blood of a Locke. So the Locke family, because they're the ones who initially created the key, and intent. So we have a lot of ones that here that we've seen there. You could make maybe a weather key. You know, a key where you go out, oh, it's too hot out. You have the key, you put it in somewhere, suddenly you can change it to dark and rainy. Or a gravity key, you stick it in the room, suddenly, whoop, there you go. You're on top, you're standing on the ceiling, up is down, and all that. So basically, it's whatever you can possibly think of. It's kind of like the creation key, where, whatever you draw comes to life. But when you create the keys, you need to make your intent clear. Like, basically, think of like a Midas key. The King Midas, the man with golden touch. He touched whatever turned to gold, and then he accidentally hugged his daughter, whatever, she turned to gold. Making a Midas key, where you can take it and just touch anything, it turns to gold. Basically, you can do that. Um, so it's possible that they could possibly find some more whispering iron in there, because they really weren't looking hard for it. Um, Abe and Eden went back and they're like, "Oh, we can't find anymore." I don't think they didn't really look very hard. They just kind of like, "Oh, there's none here." Or are you checking behind the rocks? Are you checking the dark corner? I mean, come on. But under tree key. This squirrel key lets you control squirrels. I'm my squirrel minions. Um, yeah, the echo key. It's really cool. You go into the well house and you kind of call out the name of someone who's dead. They come back as an echo, and echoes are great. They can't die. So, if you had an army of echoes and echoes who are then possessed by demons, although again the alpha key just bluey, they're done. But yeah, I would love to see a continuation because the comic books I think still going, and there's just so many keys to show that they just didn't show, and the whispering at the end kind of suggests that there is more magic out there. There are more keys hiding in the world, and maybe not in that house, but just the whispering. Just the whispering doesn't have to say that. Oh, there's more keys in this house. It's just telling you that the magic is still there. The magic is still out there. There are still possibly more keys to be found. That yeah, they destroyed like 12 of them, but that doesn't mean they're all gone. Um, so I would love to see a continuation because it really is a good show. From some of the traditional, what we would call traditional now, adding some yes political agenda in there. It's a good show. You know, it wasn't as bad as say like Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, where like the first season is like man bashing like every single episode, talking about people being oppressed, and I think like in the first two episodes they said toppling the white patriarchy. I mean, it's not that bad, but there was just a few things thrown about. But it's like, whatever. It's a good show. I can ignore it. But yeah, I want to see a continuation. I'm sure. I don't know where they are in the comics, and really, after you beat basically the god of demons, where do you go from there? You know, when I think about that, I think of like stuff like World of Warcraft. Now it's like we've gone out there, we've fought titans of death. We went to the Shadowlands and fought basically death itself. Now somehow we're back on Azeroth and we're fighting elemental dragons that are somehow more powerful than the titans and eternal ones. I'm like, just come on. I mean, I get them wanting to up the ante a bit, but when you're beating gods, what more is there for you to, what more is there to challenge you? So, but I really should start reading the comic because from what I've seen, it is really cool. Very different, but very, very similar, but a bit more gruesome. I mean, obviously, you're able to be gruesome in comic books. Um, but yeah, the ending of it is just perfect. Just the happy music. It goes from all being happy because they're like, oh, we're finally rid of these keys and we can be happy. And the panning into the door as she's closing it. You see the doorknobs with KH. The music stops, and then you hear that whispering, and you're like, oh snap, oh snap. And then you're like, is there going to be another season? No, there's not. It just means there's more keys out there. So what are they going to do if more another situation arises? You know, but yeah, just so many keys. Imagine. Actually, that could be the question. If you could create a key, what would it be? Again, imagine you already have the two things necessary. You already have the blood of a Locke. Say you are Locke related, or you have someone there, and you have the Whispering Iron. All you need is that intent. What kind of key are you making? Is it going to be something like the Midas key? That's just something I made up. I've never heard anyone say Midas key. But King Midas, touch gold. Instead of Or you can make a money key. You know, that would be stupid though. Um, or would you do something simple like a weather key, where like, oh, I want it to snow today. I don't know where the keyhole would appear, but then again, for like a lot of the other keys with yourself, like the head key, it appears on your neck and all that. The memory key and so it appears on your chest, so you're like sticking it into your body. So I don't know, maybe it can just like time and space, just it just opens up in front of you. You can just, but yeah, all you need is intent. So what kind of key are you making? Be pretty interested to hear some people's ideas. Again, it can be pretty much crazy because if you have a creation key that can pretty much bring anything to life that you draw, a key to hell that makes you basically ruler of hell. The sky's the limit. Uh, so so you can do anything. So yeah, what's your key gonna be? Let me know below. Uh, you guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye guys.